So it is June, and that's arguably like the best month of the year. You know, my birthday is in June, so that's fun. Like right off the bat. Summer solstice is also in June, longest day of the year. I love that. Most sunshine ever. Absolutely. And most importantly, June is Pride Month. And so we are kicking off our Pride Month soaps right now, today, this week. That's what we're doing. And I'm super excited to tell you more about it. And I will do that in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudzers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And you are here for week 24 of year 3. And yeah, as I said, it is Pride Week. So this is the week where we are making and unveiling all of the awesome Pride soaps that we are carrying in the Soap and Clay line this year. All of them selected by Soap and Clay Kidlet number 2. This has long been a standing tradition with she and I. We like to create and design these soaps together and come up with, what we're going to do as far as the different representations every year. And it's a lot of fun. And so, of course, we're going to be kicking off with our tried and true, and that is, the 6-color pride flag. And this is my Love is Love bar. Soap and Clay Kidlet number 2 also did help me out when I initially selected all of the scents for this. It was a very complicated blend, right? There were like 8 different scents that were put into it to represent like 8 different countries that had been, it was all a thing. This soap was definitely originally created during a moment of we need to show all of the love and the support and the, allyship that we can possibly muster. And realistically, a bajillion years later, that has not changed. So let's get to the video. You can see me pour 6 beautiful, perfect, straight lines of soap and how I managed to do it. So let's go there and we can do all of that. Okay, so in the first instance of the Pride soaps for this year, we are doing the Love is Love. Actually, we are doing the more pastel version of Love is Love, not this one, because this was a special order, a special request, and that is the one that I filmed. So the colors are not going to be as bold and bright and beautiful as my original Love is Love and the ones that are actually on the website. But information as to what, colors that I use for those, they will all be tomorrow in tomorrow's video. But, short answer to that is pigments and neons. Yeah. And we are not using pigments or neons for this. We are using all micas. And I think I'm even telling you which ones they are. Yeah. So first up, grape knee-high for the purple layer. And you know how great I am with purples. Yeah, it's a thing for sure. And I am using these micas at, I don't know, about 75% of their standard ratio, like what they're supposed to be used at. So that's one of the reasons why I'm usually so bad at purples, because I'm not using enough of them. But this is a good option for you if you're wanting to make a more pastel, muted, pride flag. So there you go. And the scent in and of itself, on the label, it's orange hibiscus, because that's reasonably what I smell. I smell a lot of citrus, as well as like a really kind of sweet floral. Very delightful blend when it's all said and done, but it's a blend of like 8 different essentials in this one. And it was, that was a whole moment that the Kidlet and I, Soap and Clay Kidlet number 2 and I worked on together to, create the original Pride soap that we did, I don't know, at the very beginning of the company. So this is something that's been in the line for ever and ever. And The twilight that goes into this, I obviously love if you want a nice dark blue with everything. It's the color of my gloves, so that's cool. Love that for me. Also, if you'll notice, I am weighing everything out, measuring everything out per layer, and putting the lye in per layer. And I don't know what I'm trying to show you there, but obviously it was very important to me. But yeah, I'm adding the lye to each layer and making that like that. So that means that I'm waiting between to ensure that all of the layers are nice and crisp and clean. So that's fun. I don't like doing layers just generally across the board, but you know, for the Pride soaps for Love is Love, I totally do. I do it right because this is like my favorite. This is the favorite series that I have throughout the year. It would be all of my Pride soaps because every year we obviously always have, you know, the Love is Love bar, so the traditional standard 6-color rainbow flag, but then we pick 3 others. And every year it changes because there are actually a lot of flags and a lot of different ways that you can show your representation and or allyship. And so we try to get everybody in at some point in time. So this year, the next 3 ones are so beautiful. I'm so in love with all of them and I can't wait for you to see them. But of course we have to start out with our traditional. And that guy is Lorne Green. I didn't really show it to you, but that's what that one is. And the green with all of this is, I don't know, it's kind of like insert anything. If you're doing a more pastel version of, you know, the Pride flag, you can kind of put anything into it. Doesn't really matter. As long as you don't have a scent blend that is going to discolor anything, this is basically what you're going to get even after a C-pop or a gel. Now that might not be the case, you might not experience that, but for me, because I put so much kaolin clay into each and every batch of soap that I make, you're always fighting against the kaolin clay. So do also keep that in mind if you are making clay soaps, even though it doesn't seem like it's going to be, you know, lighter in tone. When you first start out and you mix the kaolin clay into the oils or whatever, it doesn't feel like it's a lot lighter. It really does get quite a bit lighter after saponification because you think about the kaolin clay, everything that you put into your soaps, right, that are that's unsaponifiable, that stuff's sort of being bound around with the saponification. So, you know, it's a whole thing with like pigment and you get it. Like that's a thing. So point is, if you want less muted soaps, you could probably just use these exact micas and don't use kaolin clay and you'll get the more vibrant colors, you know, and it might benefit from a gel, but that's not how this one works because of all of the kaolin clay really. Okay, so the final 3 layers in all of this, obviously the next up will be yellow, and I did Taxi Cab for that. It's a nice, bold, beautiful yellow. And yeah, so far so good. Now, I don't show you the process, you know, the parts that I cut out and or just turn the camera off for, and those parts are called when the mold was sitting on a heat pad with another heat pad, you know, on top of it to get these things to firm up as quickly as possible in order to ensure that I don't have to spend all day on one soap. And that's actually very important for me just generally because I'm a 30 minutes or less kind of like chef in the kitchen. I'm a 30 minutes or less soaper. I like these to be done quickly so I can move on to the next thing. And that is especially true for tomorrow's soap, which is a shocking number of layers. Like it's so many layers for tomorrow. And so yeah, if you are wondering how to speed up, you know, the firming up and everything of your soap batter, but still getting it to the point where it's nice and fluid like that, how beautiful it pours onto the layer underneath, I recommend a heat pad and just kind of stage it out. So ultimately what I ended up doing with this was obviously I weighed out the entire amount of oils for this and the lye solution. Then I just split the oils into 6 parts because, you know, 6 different layers, as well as the lye solution into 6 parts because 6 different layers, and mixed it as I went. So that's, you know, that's the best and probably easiest way to do, you know, layers. I have tried to show you over the years, you know, hacks or whatever, and they're hack light, right? But if you actually want pure, crisp, perfect layers, you gotta allow it to set up in between. You just kind of do. Separating it out into something like this really works to your advantage. For me, this actually becomes an easier process with layered soaps because I'm showing you like a mold that does 24 bars, right? But in totality, the amount of Pride soaps that I make for, Pride month, it's well over 1,000 bars. And so I have like, 10 molds in front of me at the same time. And so realistically, what I do is I just make a batch of soap for the purple, and then I just fill every single mold with the purple. And then while that's setting up, I'm getting the oils and everything ready to go for the next, color in the flag. And by the time that's done, it's set up and I can pour onto the next. It's very easy if you're, doing this mass production or, bigger volume. I wouldn't really consider 1,000 bars mass production, but somebody might. So that would be my tip. Just if you have lots of them, it makes it a lot easier. And then you can just build the recipe specifically to that. So you don't even have to worry about dividing, which is something that will come up in tomorrow's video, because I did a really dumb thing with the aforementioned, bar with lots and lots of layers, because I was just, again, smaller batch, just dividing it out, as I went, and I messed up my maths real bad. And so you're going to get to see that. And I also kind of figured out some interesting things along the way with that. So stay tuned for that guy. But yeah, for the red one, it's always the worst for me. The reds, obviously, if you're not messing with any of the pigments or, the neons or anything. And I know that, Mad Micah's has that 3 red blend with which I do use, for tomorrow's, but it's like voodoo and spicy tomato and something orange. I forget what the other one is. And that's fine, but I am notoriously lazy when it comes to actually getting the colors and everything ready to go. And so by the time I realize that I need to mix 2 micas with a pigment, I just don't do it. And so my reds are never true red. But luckily, again, for this one, it was a pastel request. And so they're more muted and everything anyway. Tomorrow, I do properly mix up the, Mad Micah's true red blend and trust the process. And I have heard tell, really, that is a new, recently, I guess, they've started actually combining them all into one. And so you don't even have to measure out each little bit for the true red, which I think is cool. That's smart. But I don't have that. I have the 3 different containers, Now on to the cut of this, and look, as I said, it's more muted in pastel, and I love it. I love this for sure. Definitely a cool look. I quite enjoy it, really, when people request that the colors be different, as long as they're requesting that the colors are lighter, because like I said, I am very, very stingy with my micas, just across the board. And so there's that. Now, the essential oil blend, I did not talk about it as far as, the measuring of everything out. You can, if you want to be like super precise, absolute precision, and weigh out the essential oil blend into each separate, area as well. I don't ever do, I very rarely do that. I certainly did not do that for this. I just kind of eyeball it, and it works out. Everything sort of works itself out during saponification. Like, we're not new to this. We've done things where parts of our soap batter does not get scented at all because we don't want it to discolor, but we do want other parts. And it's all fine. It's still the max usage in total for what the soap ultimately ends up being. It all works out. So that's good. Or not max use, but whatever usage you want. Because I don't ever actually go to max use, which with any of my fragrances, I don't think. But yeah, those bars, absolutely stunning. It's super exciting. It's like the 2nd of June today. And so I'm a day late on getting the bars out, but they are already on the website, which is fun. So you can go check those out at soapandclay.com. I normally do Glad for the donations every year. So every bar that I sell that's, for Pride Month, I donate 100% of the profits to an organization. And usually it's Glad. And this year I was going to do Glad and the Trevor Project for a couple of the other soaps that are coming up. Sure, because I just got an email yesterday from Crooked Media about this. I am going to be donating to their Fuck Bans, Leave Queer Kids Alone, donation fund that is going to be more equally distributing all of the funds that they get with all of this, between 3 different organizations that are really focused on grassroots, on the ground efforts to help change legislation and do all the things in the areas where, our trans and queer kids and adults really need help. And there it is, the Pride soap. And yeah, absolutely gorgeous. You know, I don't like layers, as you may know if you've been around for longer than like half a second. I don't have the patience for layers just generally. But when it's important, when it matters, when it's for a very extra special bar, I definitely spend the time and make sure that they're done right. And so this one is always done right. And it's absolutely stunning. And the scent blend with all of it, again, getting to do this with Soap and Clay Kidlet #2 and make all the selections together, always a great time. I love the scent blend with this one. It ultimately ends up smelling more citrus than anything else, but it has a really nice kind of florally finish when it's all said and done. Absolutely delightful. Everything about this was really great. But yes, if you are interested in the Pride soap, you can get it at soapandclay.com this month. As usual, all of the profit that I make for any of the Pride bars during, the month of June do get donated. So this one we will be donating to GLAD, as we usually do. And yeah, so if you want to get some awesome soaps at an awesome price and also, show your allyship, do the thing. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you guys are having an excellent June so far. I personally am, because June is the best, as I've already said. But for now, I am out of here because even though it is June, the kidlets are still in school for like another month. So I have to go get them and do the things. So I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of Soapy Pride fun. Bye. It is June. Sun is out. Guns are out. Okay.